What if you could metaphorically see your survival-based lifestyle as essentially no different from being stuck inside of a sad song? In music theory, there are different types of musical scales, many different types. But for the purpose of this video, for the simplicity of this video, I will refer to two different and very basic scales. That is minor and major. What if you were raised in survival in childhood? What if essentially all that you've been doing this time from then is just living inside of a sad song? Consider these scales as basically the confines, the walls of like a box that you're living in, that you've been living in. And the survival-based dynamics from childhood have become so comfortable and familiar to you that you've never really gotten curious about the walls of the boxes. You've just kind of accepted everything for what it is. It's become so normalized for you that you don't actually place anything into question. Now, before I proceed, let me just say that I understand a lot of these themes in psychology can be very challenging to, sit with and understand and explore. So I think that it's helpful for me to present this idea of uh, living a survival-based lifestyle as essentially equal to being stuck inside of the A minor music scale, or the B or the C, or it doesn't matter which one it is. If you were to play that scale, there are some, uh, major note sequences. It changes depending on what notes you play and how, and chords and different things. So it's fascinating because when you're living in survival, what can oftentimes happen is that you get to these points of like hope, hope for a better future. And likening it to, say, for instance, if you're in A minor and you play a chord that is actually a major chord within that minor scale, you might find yourself getting like, oh my God, this is hopeful. Something's actually changing. But is it? Because on both sides of that are minor dynamics. And let me make it very clear that this is not me communicating to people that like, oh, you could live a major life. No, no, no. I'm using these musical scales to help people understand that if you're living in a survival-based dynamic, you're pretty much living inside of a minor scale. Doesn't matter which one it is, A, B, C, D, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you play that scale on an instrument, you're going to feel the, I don't want to say monotony. You're going to feel the sadness. You're going to feel the uncertainty of each key as you play it back and forth. How equivalent to a survival-based lifestyle is that? I mean, essentially, isn't that basically just what a survival-based lifestyle is? You learned all of these unhealthy dynamics, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, in childhood, and you're essentially just going about your life back and forth, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back and forth. And it's the same thing over and over again. Why is it the same thing? Because you're playing the same notes. Now, I'm not here to tell you to just play different notes or to jump into a major instead. No, I'm actually utilizing this video and this theme to help people understand, oh, wait a second, am I living a lifestyle of pain, of survival, of fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And it's become so normalized that I'm not even aware of any potential difference. Maybe I'm even potentially so fear-based that I haven't decided to go up to the walls of this box and get a better understanding of what it is that I'm actually living in. If you were raised in survival, the likelihood that you're living inside of, and I mean this entirely metaphorically, but simultaneously, when you play any minor scale on a piano, on a guitar, on a violin, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to hear the minor dynamic of it. You're going to hear the, melancholy, the you know, you're going to hear that. You're going to feel it because that's what's being expressed in the keys, in the different dynamics of playing this to that to this to that. Even if you just do A, B, C, D, E, F, G in minor, not taking into consideration the potential sharps and flats of any key, any scale. Just simply helping you understand that, I don't know, maybe one of the chords within that scale represents your unfortunate, unhealthy repetition compulsion to be attracted to unhealthy people that lack healthy boundaries and take advantage of you because you also lack healthy boundaries. What if your entire life you've just been living inside of any minor scale? It doesn't matter what it is. You play any minor scale, you're going to hear the uncertainty. You're going to hear each time when you go from it literally changes when you start the first few notes. You can hear the difference between a minor scale and a major scale. Are you aware of this dynamic in your life? When you metaphorically apply that to your life, are you aware? Are you aware of how suffocated you feel when you're in fucked up relationships? Are you aware that that is neither healthy or normal? I like to utilize this because I've really been thinking about how to more beneficially help people understand what's actually going on. Like, many people don't even understand what survival is. I talk about survival all the fucking time in these videos, and many people don't understand what it is. And quite honestly, I'm not frustrated with anyone. I get it. I totally get it. But to understand that there's a difference between survival with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and a healthy, like, you could literally liken it to this. Survival is any given minor scale. You can feel the sadness, you can feel the uncertainty, you can feel the pain when you play it. A healthy lifestyle with healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation is like any given major scale. You can feel the joy, you can feel the happiness, you can feel the certainty. And maybe you might run into a minor chord in the major scale, but what comes after it, what happens before it? Major. Because you have healthy boundaries, you are individuated, you are differentiated. That's the difference. I think that this metaphor will really help people understand. If you were raised in survival with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, the likelihood that you have been living inside of any given minor scale, with all of its sadness, all of its pain, and all of its uncertainty, because you're actually unaware that you've been living in survival. If you can't identify it, if you don't know what it is, you're just not aware of it. If you don't know what survival is, if you don't know what fight, flight, freeze, fawn is, you're not going to do anything about it. You're just going to go about your life, oh, yep, this is normal. This is the way that life goes. You got to fight really fucking hard. Relationships are so fucking challenging. It's always just one fucking thing after another. This is so fucking hard. Why is it so fucking... Oh. I'm living in survival. I was born and raised into survival. That was the comfortable and familiar dynamic from childhood. So essentially, I'm living inside of any given minor scale with consistent minor progressions, notes, and chords. Repetition, compulsion, unhealthy patterns. Yeah. Yeah. You're essentially stuck in the confines of sad music. And the fascinating thing, too, I will actually make this make sense before I end off this video. If you were raised in survival with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and you had a very traumatizing childhood, and you ended up with a fuck ton of marring and scathing, the likelihood that you are actually attracted to sad music and listen to it regularly to reinforce the survival-based dynamics that you are comfortable and familiar with is very high. So I'm not just comparing your life to that of living inside of any given minor scale. I'm also saying that the likelihood that you are attracted to music that is made with any given minor scale is very high, because that is the survival-based dynamic of sadness, pain, and uncertainty that you are comfortable and familiar with. I hope that this is understandable, because I think that this is a really good metaphor to use to help people understand what's actually going on here. And then the really cool thing is that if and when you decide to step outside of survival, and you actually take a look at everything from afar, you get familiar with the walls that you've been living inside of, and you're like, oh, wait a second. I've chosen all of these things as reinforcements. In this case, specifically music. I've chosen all of these minor scaled music, or songs of music, as reinforcements of the comfort and familiarity that I was conditioned into. You probably resonate with sad music because your unprocessed childhood was fucked up. It's not good or bad or right or wrong, but it's really important to understand how this works. So then, yes, that is to say that when you do the work and heal, you probably won't be attracted to that music anymore. You'll see everything for what it is.